Talk to us about the road trip. Obviously, probably not what you expected. Going 1-2. Got some overall comments about that.
So the 3-game road swing. You say road trip, but it was 3 separate trips for us.
Right. Yes.
So one of the things that we have really focused on this year is to be the team that just doesn't get beat by anybody below us. Maybe you split with the people above you, but just don't lose to anybody who's below you. And right now, currently, and going into the road trip, the way the standings were, there was a significant difference between the top 4 teams and the rest of the field. So up until this point, we had been able to do that. But many of those were at home, and they were all close, So, and everybody's getting better, and everybody's playing, more efficiently. So, it was disappointing. The Detroit game was disappointing. I really feel like they're probably one of the most improved teams in the league. They've been searching for lineups, and they're utilizing different people off the bench, but they're really playing with some determination. They have some athleticism, and they can get it done when they hit shots. And they're playing a lot of junk defense that nobody faces the rest of the year. So you have to plan for that game, and then maybe perhaps not use it again until So it's time where you have to put on the brakes, switch gears into something else, and then refocus your team. And that sometimes is it's difficult this time of year. So we had that situation, and lost that game, and then came back and won the game at Valpo. But again, close games, games where we do create a lead and we're unable to extend it. We just sort of hang around with the other team and just haven't been able to put anybody away, and that is becoming frustrating to the team. And then, got the win at Valpo. We go to Milwaukee, and I was feeling really positive about it. And we worked on everything we saw them do, and I felt like we went in with a really good game plan, and they junked us. I mean, they did something they hadn't done, and we got frustrated and had to make some changes mid-game, and I thought we were doing okay. We were managing it. We went into the locker room with a small lead at halftime, but we went through a stretch right out of the locker room before halftime, right after halftime, that they ran a couple plays and scored 3 back-to-back baskets, and then you could just see the wind kind of out of our sails. Now, we still had that push that we always have. And sometimes we take the lead back over, and more often than not we do. But it didn't happen this time, and that's frustrating. And so at this time of year, I think the girls, felt as the coaching staff felt like we would, have sort of, matured through that, and we haven't. We're still in that situation where the games are close and we have to make good decisions. And the things that beat us in the half court were things like back screens that we have always switched. It was not a game plan. It wasn't like, this game we're going to do this, this game we're going to do this. These are things we do no matter who we face. We adjust things like how to defend ball screens or how to defend the post, depending on our opponent. But they hit us with screens that we just missed. I don't know that we were all the way tuned in, and so cost us some baskets, and then we weren't getting in the offensive flow because of what they were doing to us defensively. So, frustrating game, obviously, but coming back, we hoped to gain something in that game, because Youngstown was playing at Green Bay, and we were tied with them for third. We're hoping to gain something in that game, and Youngstown lost to Green Bay, we lost to Milwaukee, and so here we are, we're still tied for third, and now we play Youngstown. So really, in the big picture, nothing's changed. Still in the exact same place we were prior to that game. Disappointing, because it would have been nice to be in third alone, but we are still where we were before, and so we have to keep that perspective. We have to move on from that game and just, move on to the next opponent. And Youngstown's going to be, a real challenge for us. I mean, they're a good team, and they were a challenge for us at their place. So.
I know during the season you've been talking about how defensively the team's been getting better. You look at 53 points in the second half. I would think that would be, of everything else, that would be disappointing to the coaching staff that you gave up that many points in a half.
Well, and some of that is a little bit skewed because we fouled
You've
all
had
the
the
way
foul,
up.
right,
I mean, even with 31 seconds on the clock, we still pressed and fouled. Down 9, and with 11 seconds on the clock, we had a timeout, and I was like, we're going to stop fouling. We're going to stop fouling, and the girls were like, I mean, they're just, so they want, and we probably fouled longer than we should have. I mean, when the game was already probably out of reach, but it's really hard to give, to play that card that, okay, we're done. And, they don't want to be done. They want to keep trying. And even if they know it's not realistic, it's really humbling to stand and let those seconds, click off and not do anything about the fact that you're losing the game. So, so you gave up more points. You probably take 10 off of there from the free throws they made at the end of the game. But we did play defense well in the first half. In the second half, that was really the downfall. Our kids felt like it was the offense, but really it was the defense. It created us to press on offense, to really press and not get any type of rhythm.
Tomorrow's game, obviously now very important. You're tied with Youngstown State. Do you as a staff, players, kind of get a sense of what's riding on the line here in playing Youngstown State?
Of course. This is really, if you say we have a rivalry, this would be the one. And I think our seniors especially have little love lost between them and Youngstown. So they understand that this is an important game. I think that there is sort of like the emotional state when you come off of a loss is different than when you come off of a win. And so we have to recover from that. And yesterday in practice was our first step to doing that. And, I think we did take a step. I thought the energy was a bit low. Everybody was a little bit down to start during film, during, talking about what the game plan would be. And even getting into playing against our practice team, I didn't feel like we had, really just a all-in type attitude. But it got much, much better throughout the day and throughout the practice. And, nice to have another day here to prepare, because I think, that after this day we'll feel real good about going into this game. This is going to be about us and them are always in quite a dogfight.
Yeah, and it seems we play them a lot. I mean, last year it was a playoff game that we had. What did they do that gives your team problems, and what do you have to defend against?
Well, they have a really good inside game. They have a contender for Player of the Year in Heidi Schlegel, and Heidi had back-to-back 38-point games or 36-point games here prior to the Green Bay game. So she's playing, exceptionally well, and she can score in the post very well, and she hurt us in the post. And on top of that, they also have Tish Walker, and while Tish isn't always a factor in other conference games against us, that is a point of emphasis for them, is to get that ball inside, and she has scored well against us. So that's going to be a real consideration. Now, you also have to look at the fact that this team shot 15% from the field last game against Green Bay, and it is highly likely that they will not do that again. So, I think because the game will be very different, Green Bay is much bigger than we are, so we're going to be really concentrating on trying to get that ball out of the paint. And I think their shooters will find some relief in the fact that they are not facing the same type of perimeter attention as they were facing with Green Bay. So we expect them to shoot the ball well. And so that's really the cat and mouse game you play with them, because they have a substantial inside game and they have very good shooters that surround that. So
defensively, how will you? Don't give anything.
anything
away. I know you're not going to give anything, but obviously, you have to defend against the Schlegel. Is it a player that you can put just one person on? Do you have to look at trying maybe to put try to double team at some point?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where she's going to try to get the ball. She plays a lot of interior against us, but she plays a lot of facing the basket in other games. So we'll see what their game plan is, where she's playing. But she's very efficient and very effective at scoring when she's around the basket. When she's anywhere, she is. So you've got to, we've got to know where she is. I would say she gets a good chunk of her points off of offensive rebounds. That's a point of emphasis for us is, don't let her outwork you, don't let her out-rebound you, and then when she gets the ball, we need to force her into a move that she doesn't want to make. Or force her to kick it, which would be great. So that'll be the plan.
What about your starters, as usual, getting lots of minutes? They do, they put a lot of points on the board. What about your bench? Are you concerned that you're not getting enough points from the players that come in and get to spell the starters?
I don't think it's changed since we've lost the 4 kids to injury. Right. So I think there were stretches where our kids coming off the bench were shooting it a little bit better. Allison went through a stretch of really hitting shots, and Krishna, and the 2 inside kids were using Arshade and Alyssa, and they're still finding their way. They're freshmen, and they're becoming more aggressive. Would I like them to finish a little better? Sure, but they're getting to the free throw line. They're helping us defensively because they're bringing some size to the court for us. So, you typically, with kids that have the amount of minutes under their belt that these kids coming in off the bench have, your expectation is not for them to score a bunch of points. I mean, typically you have a couple kids coming off the bench for you that are scoring some, but once they get into a more significant role, as juniors, then you expect their scoring to really pick up. And these kids are getting really new minutes. I mean, it's been this season, but still, they're so new to the college game. I mean, as far as experience on the court. So, we need some other players to score. And what we've seen over the last 2 games is Brooke and Lex scoring because they're junking us with people have been junking us with our 3 seniors. So we've asked those kids to step up and make shots, and they have. So can we get some more off the bench? That would be nice.
Yeah.